Oh,
Yes.
there it is.
Bienvenidos.
Hey, John,
Nice to see you. This is my good friend Damian Alexander. He has come to fame in Aotearoa, New Zealand through his hugely successful band Blindspot, who were for a moment known as Blacklist, but they've returned to Blindspot after much emotional repairing of
yeah,
ex-band members coming back into the band. And you're also a designer, and you've just opened your very own creative agency, haven't you?
yeah. It's kind of it's probably not the best time to open an agency, but we didn't really have much of an idea of what was going to happen. Like we only launched in January, but fortunately we're kind of in a position where we're not we don't have massive overheads, and we can kind of keep things moving along, and there's enough work coming through for our staff to keep working. So for us, it really kind of hasn't been that bad. But the hardest thing, bro, is not being able to vibe with people when you're working, bro.
Yeah, I can imagine that physical connection and bouncing ideas around. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
interesting. Let's jump into that because we are increasingly, before COVID-19, we were a society that was more and more Zoom meetings and Snapchat messages and DMs on Instagram to your mates, and less seeing each other, right?
yeah.
Do you think that this is going to be a reminder that actually people are best served when they're in the physical presence of other people?
Yeah, totally, man. I think for us, as a business, like we've come to realize that it's not the formal 1 hour sit down meeting that creates the solution. It's the 5 minute conversation at the coffee machine. It's the passing in the hallway while you're going to different meetings. It's these moments of human chemistry that actually work for us, that actually make the work great. Like you can't, those moments of magic are just not there. You got to force them and across a computer screen, and so it's tricky, man. And I do think that when we get out of this, that there will be a renaissance of more people coming together, people putting their phones down and and actually going for human connection, as a physical human connection, as opposed to like this.
Yeah, I hope so. I
Yes.
feel like we've become a society that could be having great sex, but we're looking at pornography instead, like literally and metaphorically,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there is like a trackable rise of like the advent of like depression and anxiety disorders, and heaps of young children in schools are medicated. And there's an author called Jonathan Haidt who talks about you can track that with the rise of social media use and cell phone possession by young people.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really hope that I mean, this is hard for everyone, but I hope take the teachable moments from it.
Yeah, totally, man. I think, I'd hate to think that people forget about this time and go back to just being in the phone, like it's.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really mindful to not be in my phone around around my stepson, because
Yeah.
I don't want him to learn that that's the new normal, and he feels like ignored because I'm like, yo, what's up? I got some likes, like an addict.
Yeah.
How are you doing with having kids at home whilst trying to run a business and be a present husband?
It's challenging. My wife's been amazing. She's working too, but she's kind of been picking up heaps with the kids and stuff, and it's a hard thing. It's hard to get a balance. It's hard to try. This is the new normal, and it's hard to figure out what that looks like. And
Yeah.
how, we're only just kind of figuring it out now, and hopefully today will be the announcement. That we're hopefully stepping it down a bit, but yeah, it's hard, man. It's really hard, because you end up. What's happened is we got the Xbox out, and now my son's never played an Xbox in his life because we just needed activities that we can kind of do, as a family. But we're walking every day. Like yesterday, we walked like 7Ks. We walk 5Ks a day if we can as a family, So, that's been awesome.
Yeah, it's like a bonding experience as well as like a running off the energy experience.
Yeah, I think it's been great because now I feel like I need to at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I feel like we need to be out doing that.
Yeah, cool.
You know,
And you get a lift from it, right? Like I think a lot of people are like, I feel tired. Last thing I want to do is some sort of exercise, but actually it's an energizing experience.
Yeah, totally, man. And you laugh, and the dogs do stupid things, and you actually connect as a family too.
Yeah. Do you have to like bribe your kids? Because we have to bribe our kid. Well, we try not to, but he's like, "What do I get if I do this?" And I'm like, I don't know, well-being.
Health, bro. No,
Yeah, you get health.
I think they're actually like they're all pretty good. The only struggle with my boy is just getting him to put his shoes on. Like that's
Yeah.
really the struggle here, which on the grand scheme of things is pretty easy.
How old is your boy again?
He's 9.
Oh, so I have 3 more years of trying to get my kid to put his shoes on before.
Bro, more than that probably, man.
Come on, bro. I need that positive outlook. Are you missing? Because you were just on tour too, like over the summer period. Like Blindspot played a heap of what was every show sold out around the country?
Well, the first handful of shows that we did were pretty full. Like I think we've done like 3 or 4 shows. At the beginning of the tour. And they were awesome, bro. It was so good. We're out playing the first record, and the vibe's really good in the band, and the shows were heaps of fun. And then we did the Power Station, and we were talking about actually pulling the Power Station show because it was kind of the week before lockdown.
Yes.
From a responsibility point of view, but there was nothing formal put in place, and so we're like, we'll just go ahead with it and just be careful. There wasn't much social distancing.
Yeah, in the mosh pit. The social distancing.
But it was good, man. Like the shows, we've had to postpone the tour because of COVID, which sucks. It sucks because from a earning point of view, from a from a reorganizational point of view. But fortunately, we postponed the shows. We're looking at booking new ones now. And to be honest, there hasn't been that many refunds. So I think people are just like, yeah, man, we'll just wait with you guys till we get out there.
Yeah, I really feel for the music industry. I've been reflecting that a good percentage of my friends are like kickboxers, MMA fighters, tattooers, or musicians, or they work in the music field. And it's really a whole big unknown, given so much travel is dependent on most of those professions. Is there been support for people who are like sound techs and lighting guys? Like, do you know about that?
There is a couple of organizations who do help fund people in those roles and musicians called Music Helps, which is I don't know a massive amount about it, but I know that it's a fund that is kind of it's for musicians and for people in the industry to help them out through hard times, which is really awesome. And I think people have this really skewed perspective that like musicians in New Zealand make shit tons of money. They don't. And, like a lot of musicians are, live hand to mouth. You know what I mean? Like they don't have, like I'm not saying Shelton lives hand to mouth, but all of his jobs as a professional are people based. He's fine. He said he's usually in the studio here anyway, but he's a tattooist. Which involves people. He's in Deadbeat, which involves people. He's in Blindspot, which involves people. So everything he does is people based. And if you strip that away from someone for, potentially could be 4 to 6 months, who knows? It's just one of those things.
Wow, yeah.
Like
is he in Auckland at the moment, or is he in London?
He lives in Mount Maunganui at the moment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's not trapped abroad like I see a lot of people are.
Yeah, totally. So.
How's it been being back in the band? Because you took like a hiatus, I suppose. Like, have you been enjoying? For those who don't know, when did Blindspot start?
Blindspot started in I think it was like that originally when I wasn't even in the band. I think it was like 96, maybe 97.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you guys play a bar that used to be. What is it now? It's Cassette 9 now, and it used to be the Voodoo Lounge. It was like a small show. You were playing covers, and I was like, "Oh, these guys are great." Because I think you were playing like Taproot. Do you remember that band? Yeah,
we were playing like Taproot and Deftones and stuff, and that was a really great time in the scene. Like a friend of mine, Leon, the other day. Leon, who used to be in Cold by Winter.
Oh yeah.
He posted a couple of shots from some of those shows at Papa Jack's, and it was like just all these emotions. It's like, man, those are the days, man. We didn't care about anything. We just went out all night and just moshed the shit out of everything. And it was an amazing time, And that time was awesome because you were in bands then, and there was Angela in bands, and and it was kind of this. That's when metal, I think, in Auckland was really kind of like firing because there was all these scenes. There were the punk kids and the hardcore kids and the progressive kids, and it was everyone was doing it.
It was so vibrant.
Yeah, and it was a real community. And I think, so that's kind of when Blindspot started, and we just we were lucky enough to get a few breaks along the way, and sell some records and do some touring and stuff. So yeah, it's been, how long have I known you? Well, that's probably 20 years.
We would have been acquainted 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like we became friends. I'm trying to think that we went from just like dudes who we were like, oh, hey, bro, to like actually being friends and I'd have dinner with your family.
I think it started. I think the first time we actually sort of really talked was that day when you had a car accident or someone hit your car and you came into illicit when I was there and you were raging, man. You were like,
oh yeah, yo, I think my ex-wife and I were going to a wedding and someone hit us. Like they didn't stop at a stop sign and they knocked us into oncoming traffic, which and then hit our car back into the other lane. And I lost my shit. Yeah, I fully lost my shit, and I was like climbing out. Yeah, that was I have a bit of a rage response sometimes when I feel deeply threatened. Yeah. And I was like, "You nearly killed my wife," and climbing out of my car window because I couldn't open the door to try and like assault someone, which fortunately I didn't do. Yeah, I regained some degree of composure. Yeah, that's right. Well, good on you for being friends with me after that, because I'm like a psycho when I'm fired up.
That's where it all started, bro. And then, and then as time went on, just with Illicit and Steve and those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
good
cool.
memories. What do you think? Would you say, because you've been playing sold out shows and like Blindspot is so huge, despite being around for like 20 years, you're still like a big successful band in New Zealand, like the biggest. Well, I'm trying to think. I can't think of a bigger, more successful metal band. Can you?
Nah, I think we've been really lucky, bro. And like these last shows, and especially now that we can't do them, has made me like super grateful for, and I mean this genuinely, for having people that still want to listen to us and come to a show after 20 years. Like it's incredible, man. Not many people get to do that. So.
And new fans too. Like you've got a younger generation.
Yeah, it's weird, bro. It's like we've got these kids coming up to us at shows that are like 20 and they're like, oh, my dad used to listen to you. And I'm like, oh.
How does that make you feel? You're like, oh shit, I'm a multi-generational band. Like I made it.
I'm a boomer, mate. I'm a boomer.
Why do you think the metal and hardcore scene died out? Because it really has. Like I have to go overseas to see the bands that I like, and I'm fortunate that I've been around it so long that I can, yo man, can you put me on the door? Because I have to pay for it. I don't have to pay gas money. I have to like buy an air ticket to go see my favorite band. Why do you think it's died out here? Do you think it was a lack of radio exposure or what? You know what I mean? Because like you said, it was huge. Well, not huge, but it was a vibrant, strong scene.
Yeah, music. If you kind of look at it, music goes through peaks and troughs. Like over years, you'll watch it. There'll be a hip hop renaissance, then there's a metal renaissance, then there's a pop renaissances, and I think we're just in that cycle, bro. And I think we're for New Zealand at the moment, metal and rock is kind of in a lull because I don't know. I don't think it's quite picked up yet, but I think. But it comes back, bro. It's like like you look at like you listen to say. Like some of the new music that's coming out now from the pop artists, and it's like direct reminiscent of the 80s, like the new Gaga stuff, and like all that. Not that I hear it because my kids listen to it.
Whatever, bro. You love Gaga.
But I'm like, shit. That's a Madonna ripoff.
Yeah.
So if you look at those trends and how they go through, my guess is that they're going through the 80s and stuff now, and then it'll come back into a renaissance, I think, with grunge or that style of, like you look at the Beths, that's a real garage grunge thing that was happening in like the really early 90s. So hopefully the next cab off the rank will be rock and metal will come back again and have its resurgence, and then hip hop will come back,
Yeah, because hip hop was. Like I have to say, I'm once removed from the scene now. Like it's continued to be, you've had your Homebrews and your Tom Scotts and your Mellow Downs and people like that who have kept like their, but I guess like hip hop in the public consciousness more than perhaps metal has been. But it still doesn't feel like when I was young and there used to be like, you had like Tourette's and Louis Knox and those people were having like MC battles, and there used to be like. Otis Frizzell doing like graph comps and SQ and shit. You know, like it was like all the elements together. It doesn't feel like that anymore. Is that true to say, or am I just old now?
No, I think you're right, man. I think it's become a very, music has become really like fragmented. It's very
Yeah.
fragmented into different styles, and you've got mumble rap, and then you've got the Futures, and then you've got the Post Malones, and then you've got the. So it's all kind of, it's all a bit of it's a real mixed bag at the moment. But I do remember those days too, bro, when it was actually like a culture. It was
A culture. Yeah.
There was parts to it. It was parts. There was music, graph, beatboxing, dancing, battles, like it was really massive, and that kind of hip hop's kind of been good like that. It's kind of stayed consistent. I think it has resurgences, but I think it has stayed reasonably consistent. We're just missing those community bits,
I wonder how much it ties into what we were talking about earlier. Like people are on the internet more, like which is great for collaboration. It's like, yo, dog, I'm looking for a beat. Can you send me a beat? And people connect all around the world, and you find an online tribe. But then you don't come together in real life to make those shows or do that event. Do you think that's a thing?
Yeah, I definitely think it is, man. And I think people's attention spans are super, like really short, and so there's people aren't like when we were kids, you're either a rapper or a metaler or a but now these kids are everything. They listen to a bit of everything. They're kind of these little organisms of just genre, So yeah, I don't know. It's weird, man. I think after this, bro, hopefully there'll be a big resurgence in people wanting to go outside and listen to loudspeakers,
Yeah. Although then like at least here in Auckland where we live, like there's not a whole lot of venues anymore for small to even medium-sized bands, right?
Yeah, we were dude. I was talking to the owner of the power station the night of our show there, which was 5 weeks ago now, and he's got like his work disappeared overnight. Like 2 months of gigs in his venue just gone.
And he's still got to pay overheads.
Dude, you still got to pay the rent and the lease, and so and that's and I hope that the government. The subsidy from the government's been amazing, bro. I've never been more proud of my government right now and the way they've handled this, the way they've helped people. I've met Cinder a few times, as you have too. You know what I mean? And you know her, but if I had known 3 years when I was, screaming in her ear at the music awards 5 years ago, whatever, that we were going to be here now, it would have been a different conversation, hopefully they come through and they know where those real pain points are. And I think just our government has a really good handle on what's important after this also for people, as a country to rebuild and celebrate and come together. So hopefully those venues stay afloat and they get the help they need,
Yeah, I hope so too. I was talking to Tom, who owns Whammy Bar, which is these kind of spot left for like really alternative, I don't know, whatever. And he's struggling, man. Like that's a hard time. A lot of people, I imagine, are going to have to lose their jobs, and the government subsidy at least prolongs the ability for someone to stay open until we get through this shit.
Yeah,
it's fucked up though. Yeah, I worry about the lack of venues. I'm like, are we just becoming this kind of homogenous, boring society? Like I wonder where would you and I have gone now? If I was 19 or 18 now and I wanted to go scream "fuck the police" or
yeah, totally.
"fuck you, I won't do what you tell me" or whatever the fuck, like where would I go? And it doesn't strike me as a lot of places.
No, because I think I don't know. My daughter, my eldest daughter, who's 21. She when she's in Auckland, they go clubbing, but it's like I don't know where they go clubbing.
But I don't even want to go clubbing. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like if you're like alternative, like if you were like straight edge, or I wasn't into like dancing to electronic music and like doing Molly and drinking. Like, do you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, I don't think there is. There's no. I think there's like Ding Dong Lounge, maybe. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's weird. I've never been, but it is a thing for like alternative, like guitar-based music.
Yeah, there is something
there. How are you managing your relationship? A lot of people have been hitting me up, like men and women, like, dude, do you know of any online anger management courses? I'm fighting with my partner, like not in a family violence thing, which is also the work I do, but just tense being at home all the time. Are you and your beloved wife finding it hard being in each other's pockets, or are you actually like, yo, this is sick, wish we could do it more?
It's interesting, because I don't think any of us have been exposed to living with our partners and our families in concentrated for a month, so we're still married, so that's a good sign.
I saw a meme the other day and it was like divorce lawyers like going up. Do you have do you have like strategies, or like, I'll take this time and you take this time and you go out and do your walk, or is it just as it comes?
We're pretty good, I think, as a couple together. We kind of, there is moments where you kind of get a bit titchy, but that's to be expected in a,
any relationship.
Yeah. So, I think we're pretty good. We've got a pretty good tolerance of each other and kind of know when to subconsciously distance ourselves during our day anyway,
Yeah.
So
how long have you been married?
Oh, shit. 2005, 15. I think we've been together like 18 years, I think.
Wow.
But I think we've been married like 16.
Wow, that's amazing. This is me giving you a round of applause. What's the secret to a 16-year marriage?
I don't know, bro. I don't know. We've definitely been through ups and downs and stuff, but I think, my wife is actually extremely understanding and really tolerant of my shit, which is helpful.
That's it. What's the secret? Just have a really cool partner who's real patient. All right, cool. Good luck out there, people. That's Damian's advice. Find someone who is patient.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you're also a designer outside of music, right? You is that the correct term? Marketing designer?
Yeah, well, I guess I'm a creative, I guess, in sort of all aspects of kind of what I do. Because it was really weird. Like I was never really that interested in committing my life completely to music, and that's not because I didn't love music and see success in it, as I believed that I could do other things while I was doing that. And plus I have a really short attention span, so it's good for me to jump from project. So so design, film, photography are a big part of what makes me up as a person. And I've just started an agency, so we do film and photography and design, and I guess it's just kind of your typical kind of branding creative agency. We're trying to do things slightly differently. Music is a big part of how we design brands now. So when we look at a brand, we'll look at what it says, what it sounds like, what it's saying, and kind of, I guess, look for the most beautiful truth in a brand and bring that to the front with music, film, animation, design, photography, anything we can, really. So that's kind of what we do as a business.
Oh, wow. Do you have like an academic background? Like, how did you get into that?
No. I just worked really, really hard. I didn't go to university, no tertiary qualifications. I kind of left school and started as a sign writer, bro, painting signs.
Oh, yeah? Really?
Yeah.
So all the photography that I've been seeing you put on Instagram and the stuff you've been doing with Harley Davidson, that's all comes from just figuring it out as you go along.
Yeah, self-taught, so I guess it's just one of those things where being in the band and being a musician, in the early days, we had to be really kind of inventive with how we did what we did, because we couldn't afford $10,000 photo shoots, and we couldn't afford, to have these big expensive music videos. So we had to learn to make a lot, so we made, I think our first video or our second video, we made all the set and the props and kind of shot it all ourselves pretty much, with the help from a few people. But and that love of putting pictures with sound and design and photography and putting all those things together kind of is what got me to where I am now, bro. It's, I just kept making and made a lot of mistakes, but mistakes are the best teacher, you know what I mean? So yeah, and I run an agency that does that.
that just opened and now it's on lockdown. But you still, I imagine, working from home and running projects, yeah?
Yeah, totally.
Like you said.
we've got a team of, there's 6 of us now. We've got there's my business partner who's a strategist. We've got a designer, we've got an animator, and I've got a producer and an account director. So we're all still working on projects and trying to get new business and all that sort of stuff, So, but we've got good people, man, so they're awesome.
That's hard, man. Like, how is getting new business in this climate? Like,
I think we're really lucky, I think, in that aspect, because we have a lot of clients who are in the primary industries. So
for those who aren't, sorry to cut you off, but for those who aren't aware, what are the primary industries?
Primary industries are essentially export sheep, like protein, whether that be sort of animals or dairy or fruit,
Forestry and shit.
I don't do a lot. We don't do a lot of, but forestry is a prime industry. Yeah, it's export of our products to the world.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and I think it's we're lucky because we work. Those businesses are still exporting, which is immensely important to our economy. And I know everyone has different views on farming and all that sort of stuff, but and we are a country that exports dairy. 95% of our dairy goes offshore. And that,
really? I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah, so a massive proportion of what we make here is exported. So it's really important for us to export because that's a quarter of our country's revenue. You know what I mean? Like it's when I know people, and there's good and bad in every industry, but I think that's one thing that is really important for people to understand and a lot of people don't understand it because it's not communicated properly, is that export is really massive for us, and unfortunately, because we're an agricultural country, it's farming. So.
It opens up a whole can of worms. Like, and then you're like, yo, fuck, why are you asking me about this, man? Because there will be people watching this who vote for Green Party, or they're vegan, or they're both, and they'll be critical of that, and they'll be like, but we need to move away from the primary industries towards a more knowledge-based economy. What would you say to someone like that?
I think that this is full on topic.
If you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to talk about it.
No, I think I don't. I have a lot of family who are farmers, and I know and I've met a lot of farmers in the work that I've done, and every single farmer that I met is so conscious about how they treat their farm and their waterways and their land, and really do genuinely care, bro. There is bad farmers out there. There are people that are doing shocking shit, but that's happening in all industries. That's just not farming. But I think balance, bro. I think this will throw up a whole bunch of questions for our country around how we farm, how we export, what are some other industries we can look at, I think, love it or hate it, I do think that, cannabis is definitely is an agricultural sector that we should look at because it's extremely lucrative for a country, and done correctly, I don't know, there's so many things, man, and it's like
I vaguely remember seeing a story about a former New Zealand farmer who moved to California to take his knowledge of agriculture, and now he's like balling out. He's very rich based on his cannabis business.
Yeah, so I think it's one of the largest ones in America, is run by a ex-Kiwi farmer.
It is, right? Or hemp as well, because hemp's obviously non-psychoactive, which I think a lot of people still mix up. Like hemp you can use for a whole range of different products. Yeah. And it's not a drug that people use medicinally or recreationally. Do you have a strong view on the referendum in September, assuming that the election goes ahead, about legalizing cannabis?
I don't really have a massive view on it. I don't use any form of drugs, so for me it's interesting, having a point of view on it at all, really. But I don't know. I think the important thing is that we know, I think genuinely we're a good country and have really are quite ethical and good people in general. And I think if we all come together and work really hard across all sectors, we should be able to come up with new and innovative ways to keep our country afloat, but also not damage it.
Yeah, it's a hard one. There's because I'm seeing like the polarity. Like some people like stay closed, and other people like, man, we need to open up because of the economy. And I don't have a strong opinion either. Like obviously for me, all my work is well, not all of it, but most. I mean, I run a gym, so that's not open for any time. And then obviously, I do public speaking, and there's no big events anytime soon. So, but I would prefer to err on the side of caution for the time being, if it means that people are gonna live longer. Do you know what I mean? When it comes to the transmission of disease.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, mate, it's a funny world, man, because it's thrown up a lot of questions, man.
Yeah. Have you got friends overseas that you're in touch with?
What's that?
Have you got a lot of friends and family overseas that you're in touch with?
Not of a massive amount overseas. My sister's in Australia, and we don't talk that often. But yeah, not really, man. Yeah, I'm just glad I'm not overseas, bro, man.
Yeah, me too. Like normally I always moan about living in New Zealand because I'm like, we're so far away and blah 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 and we can't do this and that. But I talk to my friends in America or I see people I know in Thailand through Muay Thai and I really genuinely worry about their well-being. Not just from the possibility of catching COVID-19, but the broader repercussions of the situation, the unemployment and the civil unrest possibilities and the political instability that might ensue. And like you said, I'm grateful to the way our government's handling this.
Yeah, I think like I'm really grateful, bro, and it'll be great when we're back to level one or whatever. That'd be amazing. I think it's really weird, bro. It feels like we're kind of this secret little club in the bottom of the earth now,
Yeah, it's like man, some old Hollywood film where you have to like get a ticket to fly to what the fuck is the movie called? It's like there's like this wonderful island in the sky, right? And like, is it what?
Is it a cartoon?
Nah, it's like a proper, it's like it's not a cartoon. What do you call a film that's not a cartoon? Like there's real people and actors. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, I feel like we're that. I feel like we're the oasis down in the bottom of the world there.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, man. I'm kind of looking forward to having our borders shut and for New Zealand to just be New Zealand on its own for a little while.
Are you really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is for me, but something about it feels really positive for our country.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think it's I guess maybe it's a little bit of sense of pride and a sense of togetherness that we're strong enough and confident enough as a country to close our borders and go, nah, actually, if you can come in, but you got to wait 2 weeks at the Soho Hotel.
Dude, I'm into that. I want to go out to get put in the Soho. It's nice there.
But yeah, I don't want it to last forever. But it's kind of cool to feel like we've shut the doors and it's just us.
Yeah, I do feel like it's strong global leadership or strong global role modeling because I'm seeing what's happening in America and every state is different and there are people protesting against their state legislatures and it looks really horrific, like there's not a cohesive response to such a terrible situation. Like I saw the governor of New York, like fully chewing out Donald Trump in a press conference yesterday. And I was like, as a regular citizen, that must be really stressful to know where the leadership's coming from, right?
Yeah, well, that's the scary thing, bro. Is it's like because America, you see videos of tanks rolling down streets, and they lead by threatening, and like there's some lower socioeconomic, cities and towns and suburbs.
Yeah.
Don't respond well to that, bro. They would riot, bro, and that's the thing. Like if you start kind of flexing muscle and martial lawing them without leading people with empathy and going, hey, let's all look after each other and stuff. Like Trump's, bro.
I know, but I was really bummed that like Joe Biden won the Democratic candidacy because I think Bernie Sanders would have beaten Donald Trump, but now I'm not entirely sure that Joe Biden will.
Yeah, I think Bernie Sanders, from what I see, I like him,
he's like one of the dudes. Like, it's like, I'd be friends. I want that guy to be my dad or my granddad.
Yeah, like the thing is, and I think that's the cool thing about like Jacinda, bro, is, she leads with empathy and intelligence, like it's not, so I think.
I've heard people, like older guys I've known or I'm acquainted with or I'm friends with on Facebook who traditionally vote right wing or they're,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, wow, she's done such a good job. I'm considering changing my vote in September, which I think is a massive testament to her leadership ability. And obviously, like, I'm a biased partisan person when it comes to that conversation, but I think that's I don't know. I think it's a really positive symptom of how she's handling it. No, obviously it's not just her. There is a whole wonderful apparatus behind her.
Yeah.
But that's what leadership is, right? It's presenting those facts in a way that are easily communicated and digestible.
Yeah. I think, man, I'm so proud to be a Kiwi, bro.
Yeah? Are you a patriotic person normally? Like, do you love the All Blacks and shit? Like,
No. I'm not like that at all. Like, I'm proud of New Zealand as a hub of innovation and what we've done and against all odds for years and years and years. But yeah, I've never been really super patriotic. But now I'm kind of like, yeah, this is cool, man. Like,
yeah,
cool.
I feel the same. Brother, I know you've got a million and one things to do. You've got meetings to schedule and a family to walk
Sorry
with.
for that, bro.
No, that's all right. I was just like, for people who are listening, it's like Damien sent me a meeting request for 10 a.m. And then he's like, oh, I forgot. I thought it was lunchtime. Anyway, I totally get it because I do that sort of thing all the time. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me today, bro. And I hope that we get to hang out in person and give each other like a bro hug very shortly.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, man.
No worries, bro. I'll talk to you soon.
Ciao.
Bye.
See you.